Now, returning you to the Children of Primus.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. TelaTraan 2, Frenzy Freestyle Sunday. How is everyone doing?
Frenzy Freestyle Sunday brought to you this Sunday by Mountain Dew.
Sunday.
Caffeine,
Right.
it's great.
So did you stick around for the auction? How high did it go?
Okay, the auction is May 24th. The unboxing was
Oh.
today. That was probably one of the most depressing things I've ever seen.
Oh no.
They unboxed it?
Well, they had to. Okay. Here's the story with it.
Wait, just before the story, where were you? What was happening?
Okay, at the toy show, the big local toy show today, there our previous guest, Mr. Jeff Davis, runs Florida toy shows, largest toy shows in the state, and he runs a bunch of them all year. I was at the local one today, and they had the Grail, the 1986 GI Joe USS Flag aircraft carrier. Mint in box and quote unquote sealed. Here was the story with the thing. Okay. Apparently some kid got it for Christmas, 86, 87, and the kid didn't want it. The kid opened the box, looked at it, said, nah, it's not for me. Parents set it up in the attic for the next 40 years.
Oh.
Yeah. So the story is that it had been taped back shut, set in the attic, just forgotten about, okay, until recently. Local auction company brought it to the toy show because they didn't know, with the seal being broken on it, they didn't know what kind of shape the contents were in. That was the story that they got. They didn't know if the kid ripped into it, tried to assemble it, and didn't, just couldn't assemble it because it's a lot to assemble.
Right.
They just didn't know. So today, to confirm everything, what they did was they broke open, the retaping of it, and nothing had been touched. Like from factory, nothing had been touched. Everything was still sealed contents. It was beautiful and depressing. Because I'll never have that kind of money to get. That is going to be 10 grand plus. I guarantee it. Once it goes to auction. But today, yeah, like I said, they broke it open and, let us film it. So, it's basically like being a kid again in 87. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how you would have gotten it as a kid, with everything in the little baggies, all the little, tiny PC parts. Like around the fantail, there's a little tiny guardrail that a lot of, flags nowadays are missing. That piece just went bye-bye a long time ago. It's just such a small part. Oh, no. It was still on the tree inside the sealed baggie, man.
Oh, nice.
I'm telling you what. Oh, man. Yeah, it was. I was depressed. I mean, they were going over it. They were kind of taking everything out of the box and kind of inventorying the little baggies and whatnot. And I kind of shut the camera off and just walked away. It was just depressing.
Wow.
If I ever do get a flag, it's probably not going to be as beautiful condition as that is. That thing is one of the most amazing pieces I have ever seen toy-wise. Yeah, there it be, in all of its glory.
Well, while we're talking about glory, now that you're here.
I didn't know it was that kind of channel. Wait, what?
Oh, yes.
Glory hole.
So,
Go on.
okay. Get them together here.
There we go.
Oh, God, you might be put on my glasses. Oh, hey. But you got a couple more, huh?
Well, I found the Ultra Magnus to go with the Prime that I had.
Okay.
And they had another set of them. And so this set is coming to you, my friend.
Oh, you don't got that.
Oh yeah, I already got a box perfectly split.
Broke up to me anyway. Do it.
This this set is coming to you for I don't have to, but they were here. I got my due, and there was an extra set there, and so I said, "Hey, I know somebody who would appreciate these. They're Hot Wheels and they're Transformers. How could you not?"
There you go.
Oh, I certainly wouldn't say no. I think Soundwave's getting your sound though.
Yep, Soundwave
Check your
is.
sound.
Is it?
There, that's
Is it me?
better. That sounded better. There you go.
I had it bumped up a little bit. I was like kind of like looking into the microphone. I hit it with my bad arm whenever I was trying to flip them around. But I went in looking because I found Optimus already, and then I went in looking for this one, and he was there. And when I pulled him off, there was another Optimus behind him, and I was like, "Oh!" And I pulled the Optimus off, and there was another Ultra Magnus behind him, and I was like, "I know somebody who would appreciate these." I got a buddy down in Florida.
One of them was it Magnus or Prime that he got found that he
The what?
shared a week or two. Didn't Arlotti had one of those Hot Wheels, either the Prime or Magnus that he
Yeah,
shared?
he had one of the two.
Yeah, he had one.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he
Yeah, I
had
was
the
going-
the Hot Wheels convention at his job there.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I have a hard time getting rid of nice sized boxes, and so I was just going through and I found this one and I was like, "Ooh, look at that!" And these two face each other and fit in it perfectly. Yeah, that's
As an
a nice
eBay
I
seller.
got a lot of my generation selects I use to put like little paints in for like figure customizing and whatnot.
There you go. Mario says, hello again, you guys. Hello once again, Mario. I always thank you for joining us. And it says, I'm really interested to see your thoughts on 2026, the Age of the Primes Year 2 listings with Studio Series.
What was that in English?
I'm gonna throw this over to Seto.
Let me see. The main thing I remember is like Power Glide because I've been wanting to get him, and I might still get his whatever Prime Wars chapter he was in because you can put him on the chest and he's red to use on my custom Optimus, but I'll still get the upcoming one as well. I'm kind of like I'll probably will get the aerial bots, all four of them as they come along. But like I said, like the last in the T1, I've never been a big fan of them. Besides this one, the rest of them I'm like I just find kind of boring. Let's think. Bill, what were some of the other ones that they mentioned?
What was it?
What were some of the other figures they were saying for next year?
Oh, hang on.
Oh, that
That's
list.
probably the page that I just reset. Hang on, I can bring it back up.
Yeah,
Cool.
probably could just read down if there was any that we didn't touch upon last on T1. I could say something.
We did Devastation Bumblebee, TF1 Orion Pax, TF5 Barricade, 86 Windcharger, 86 Sunstreaker, 86 Kranix, 86 Cliffjumper, TF1 Thundercracker, TF1 Arachnid. Voyager scale is going to be 86 Skywarp, 86 Thundercracker, 86 Shockwave, TF1 Alpha Trion. Leader scale is going to be 86 Soundwave, 86 Astrotrain, 86 Snarl, and TF5 Nemesis Prime. 86 30th Anniversary Capsule with DIX Hound, Voyager Scourge, Voyager Hot Rod, and Leader Optimus Prime.
Actually, question. He mentioned the 86 Snarl. Didn't they already come out with all 5 Dinobots for the 86 line?
They're re-releasing all of them.
Oh,
yeah,
release.
practice
Okay.
Refresh.
They like money.
Yeah.
That too.
Well, there were so many areas that didn't get them.
which is
Yeah, I never
still the
saw
case.
Snarl in stores. I think my
Well,
swoop I
I
saw at a GameStop, and I just said, you know what? I hadn't seen him anywhere else, so I picked him up from the my main GameStop.
want
I
to
know
say
the
that I
Grimlock I got
sold.
from my main Walmart. Same for my Slag. Sludge, he was the one I saw the most of. He's shelf warmed a lot as well with
Well,
the
Grimlock was
leader
shelf warming here.
Starscream.
Interesting.
Grimlock was shelf warming here. I'll bet I sold. If you go back over Transformers Liberated and look at my history, I'll bet I sold 25 of them. Because I was going in, and I'm like, hey, look, there's 6 of them on the shelves. Who wants them?
Yeah, and Grimlock was the hard to find one for a lot of people.
Oh, he was flooded here. Every store,
wow.
like, yeah, I'll bet I sold 25 Grimlocks from my area.
Crazy. Now Adam also says, good evening, y'all. Good evening, all, and good evening, Adam. Do y'all know if people have started to receive Age of Prime Silverbolt?
That is a negative. That was what I was looking up because I pre-read that. He is not stated to release until November.
Damn.
Yeah, November 2025 is when he's slated to release. So, I mean, now maybe people in foreign countries might be getting him early.
This is true.
But for the United States, his date slotted as November of 2025. Because I have him on pre-order.
No, you come on.
only 3. Only 3 of them.
Only.
Normally, the stuff that I normally pre-order is either favorite characters and then elite. I would definitely Commander classes because I might have seen like Jetfire once at a Myers, and at the same Myers, Skylinks. And then I know I saw the Arc at not my main GameStop. This GameStop that's a pain in the butt to get into. That's in a strip mall that has its own little strip road off the parallel to the main road. So those things I normally pre-order. Leader class is hit and miss, knowing how my different stores have been stocking stuff. Because I know I would list in our group chat okay, this stores are carrying the deluxes, these stores are carrying Voyagers and deluxes or Voyagers and leaders and whatnot. Because I'll keep track of that. Because some of it I know I can get from stores, and other ones I know we don't even bother.
Cool. Now Mario's.
Now, I picked up my Triptychon at what's that store I always talk about where they have cheap shit?
Ollie's.
No, it wasn't Ollie's. It was the other one.
Not the
Ross?
$5 store.
No, not that one. Gosh, I could see the damn strip mall.
Ross?
No, I said
Ross. I got him at Ross.
Wow.
For like $40.
Wow.
Yeah, if I ever got the Triptychon, I mainly would want him for the full tilt because I tried to gotten with both Combiner Wars and Titan's Return get one of every mold. Well, at least with Titan's Return, one of every mold that has a Titan Master. And of course, the only way you can get full tilt mode is from buying Triptychon. So I'm like, ugh.
Now, Mario mentioned that listing was Studio Series you've covered last year. There were other listings for Age of Prime's year 2. Now, Magnus, do you know of the other listing?
Let me see if I can find it.
All right.
No, well, he's looking that up, so trying to sync some of the ones you mentioned. I wouldn't mind, even though I never seen the Last Night, I like Barricade. And from what I remember from looking up Barricade toys, that the Last Night design, he's redesigned compared to the movies prior that he appears in. And he has these knuckle busters. And I missed getting the custom upgrade kit for the Siege or the Earthrise that gave him knuckle busters. So I was like, I mean, I like that, and I like the Last Night design more than I would put the Last Night design is more similar to what we saw in Season Earthrise than the original, the first 3 movies.
Cool. Now I'm going to throw this over to Toy Warp. So how was the show for the weekend?
Well, ironically, it's ironic you guys are sitting here and talking about the new stuff, right? Um, I noticed something, and I was talking to another vendor, and we think that, because everybody is, after all this new stuff and the latest greatest thing, the vintage toy stuff is starting to age out of the toy shows. And I noticed too a lot of the vendors that were there that had vintage stuff had a lot of the same vintage stuff that they had last year at the toy show, meaning it really wasn't moving, right? I've noticed too on eBay a lot of the listings that I've, put in my favorites or wish list or whatever,
Hmm.
you know, the prices are high, uh, you know, a- to reflect what the market is on them. Not a whole lot of them are moving. It hasn't stopped. Don't get me wrong. It hasn't stopped. But
It's
yeah,
slowed down considerably.
it is slowed down considerably. Thank you. Yeah,
Well,
that's a little concerning for me.
right. But I mean, I guess I guess one question before I'm thinking of a bunch of other questions. How long have you been focused on vintage toys?
I never wanted to stop collecting the stuff that I grew up with that I wanted and had or couldn't have, one of the two. But I got really seriously into it around 2000.
Now, within that's like almost 25 years. Within that, has there been other periods where there was like an upswing on people looking for vintage, and then were there other periods where it slowed down a bit?
Yes, and it's a generational thing. And here's where I kind of worry about toy collecting in general for the future, but I'll get to that part. When I first started collecting the boomer type toys, the toys that the boomers collected were so expensive. And hard to find, really expensive. I mean, these guys were paying, what I would pay for a mint sealed transformer now. These guys are paying for, like the Tonkas that came in the boxes, or the
Hmm.
original late '60s GI Joes, or like the late '60s Hot Wheels. Stuff that the boomers played with.
Right.
Um, that boomer market, the bottom has completely fallen out of that boomer market now. Because most of those collectors either have what they wanted, had it, and sold it off, or
Right.
just moved on.
I mean, it's funny when kind of a few points I was thinking, and it's kind of like you had it, sold it, and moved on. I remember a conversation with myself, with Mike and with D, and at the time they were always like, "Well, what's your holy grail in terms of G1?" And I said, "Well, I don't really have a holy grail," and they're like, everyone's got one. And I'm like, but I was at that position. I had a good amount of G1 toys. And even though most of them are missing these days, it's like I've been there and done that. So I don't have that grail of any sort. Whereas like maybe, 20, 30 years ago, then be like, oh, I never got this one. And I'm like, well, I had a whole bunch of them. I'm out of that. Um, but in a whole other, I think in a Reddit group, someone was saying, is Hasbro dying or Transformers dying? And half are saying yes and half are saying no. But then I still think back to one of our other previous conversations. It's almost like our parents' generation who were fans of Elvis. Whereas like Elvis was huge, the collectibles, the plates and everything. But as our parents' generation slowly passes away, we're not collecting Elvis. So, you know, no one's really looking and buying Elvis. Whereas, like, at a certain point of our age, you know, the younger generation aren't looking and trying to track down the Tonkas that, that we grew up with. Yeah, and I barely grew up with because I had a Tonka truck when I was like, I think 5 or 6, but, you know, that's already phased out. So imagine Transformers, say 20, 30 years from now, that's going to slowly kind of phase out, just like Elvis and anything else from that era.
I think Transformers has, well, okay, This is gonna have to. Jesus Christ! Listen to me. I sound like freaking Leo Getz from Lethal Weapon. Okay. From Lethal Weapon. Sorry. Anyway, this is where I was
like
saying
Leo.
that I kind of worry about the passion of toy collecting as a whole, because as toy like you said, the Tonka trucks have faded out. I mean, there's been a lot of toy lines that have faded out over the years as toy companies don't have children necessarily to sell them to anymore because they lose the children to screens. Uh, and it kind of makes me wonder, in 30 years, are people going to be collecting, old phones so they can play the games on them? You know,
Right.
um, it kind of makes me worry. Transformers, I think, has a staying power because it constantly reinvents itself. Yeah, with all the different iterations. I mean, in the last 10 years, set them. Give me some of the different iterations in the last 10 years. I don't freaking know.
I'm just gonna go from
The
the
crossovers.
2004. So RAD 01, the Unicron trilogy, animated, the live action
Prime.
movies, Prime, RID 2015, the WFC trilogy on Netflix, Cyberverse, Earthspark.
Well, it's funny when you say, people collecting old phones for games and stuff, and not to fall far from Transformers. A lot of people still collect old PC computers and older consoles and stuff because a lot of the older, cooler games work on those consoles where there's like, me even being in the tech world, I find it aggravating at times where the companies force everyone to upgrade their program, upgrade their computer, and all this and that, and then certain older programs don't work on newer systems because they're like, well, this system's upgraded, so you can't run this old program. So people purposely go out and find the old computers, build them up just to play those old games. And I mean, that's there's that certain resurgence where maybe Transformers may have that at a certain point where it's like, okay, everything's been just updated. Let's go right back to the old school grassroots and start over, and like, because that's the foundation that we all loved.
Yeah, I do
I've got
similar
I've got
with my
my tech guy
laptop.
looking for I've got my tech guy looking for an old laptop for me that'll run Windows 86 because I found my old World of Warcraft discs. The
Exactly.
original, now it's a World Wide Web played game, but
Right.
back then it was just a point and click type of thing. And I loved that game, and I found those old discs a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, is there any way to play this?" And he's like, "Not unless you've got a computer that runs Windows 86." And I was like, "Can I?" And he's like, "Fine, I'll see if I can find one."
Well, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, I hear you with the whole retro gaming thing on PC, but when it comes to consoles, like, I myself like to collect the consoles just to have them to display. I just think it's cool. And I know there's some other people too, but everyone who's into playing the games, really, they just want the consoles to look at and display. They're not using them. Everything's emulated now. You can load up a phone with every Nintendo game ever made, and
Right.
it doesn't take up half the room on the phone. Again,
The
you're
old
losing the
8-bit games.
textile part of that.
Like little 8-bit games with 8-bit sound.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
All,
I
all
still
of all
got.
of those systems are in the bar. All those
Nice.
systems are in the bar. If y'all come down for the wedding, you can play any one of them that I've got in there.
Is there cats in the bar?
No, it's
Okay,
upstairs,
good.
up here.
Okay, good. I can breathe in there. All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think which older systems I still have kept. So my SNES. I never had an N64.
Did you just call SNES like the SNES? What?
GameCube, Wii. I never had a Wii U. PS2, PS3. The PS2 is the PS1. Well, no, I mean the PS3 is the PS1 backwards one, not the PS2 only or both. My Vita, my SP, my GBA SP, my DS, my new whatever the new 3DS XL or whatever it was called. Did I say my PSP?
Now,
And
I've
then
got the
stuff I
Fire
have on
Stick
my
that has all the
laptop.
Nintendo. I've got a Fire Stick that has all the original Nintendo and the Nintendo 64 on it.
You
I've
might want to
got
be careful with that.
Oh no, I've ordered it.
I mean, no, I was
I,
saying, a lot of those emulators, they don't include every game. They include every game you might think you remember, but there's
right.
games out there that are not on a lot of those
I
emulators.
can't see you because of the quote that's up right now.
Oh,
Oh, hold on. Let me.
Right. Right. I don't know if that's on there or not. I'll have to look.
yeah, I can think of a half a dozen racing games that weren't. I mean, I looked at a lot of emulators. I can think of half a dozen racing games that weren't on those emulators. So I can imagine a lot of the forgotten, because you remember, it didn't have to be licensed by Nintendo for it to be a Nintendo game.
Right.
Right.
You know, so a lot of third-party companies were making games for the Nintendo that would play on the Nintendo that were not approved by Nintendo.
There's Tengu Karts or Tengen, how you said it.
Yes, I think that was one of them.
Yeah, TENGEN or TENJEN, something like that.
I'm going to backtrack on the comments. Adam says you should look up what the Wii U goes for now.
My kid brother had one. Well, he might still have it. I'm not sure.
Before that is, do any of you know if people started receiving the box set with the sticker sheet for 86 Prime? That is the official version. That one came out at the Cybertron Comic Con in China. And Sunbot29, the Quantum Bot, welcome. I was messing with my Studio Series 86 Prime. There's a crack on the white plastic where you fold out the tip of his grill. Oh.
Okay, so the Wii U console, black, with the power cord, the adjoining cord, I don't know what that thing is there. I guess it's probably some sort of a like an RFI indicator that you connect to your TV. Okay, $194, and they've sold 421 of them, and he still has 122 available.
That's crazy.
Well, they were about 225 new, so it's less than what they were selling new.
But still,
I know I bought 6 of them when they were new and banked those suckers.
What is the shipping on this thing? $22 shipping, 21 and some change. Goodness sakes! Yeah, that's that next set that I sent you. That he was asking about, the Age of the Primes, Wave 1 and Wave 2.
Okay. So
Although this one doesn't have the pictures, it just has the list of what they are.
So mention at PulseCon 2024. Let's see. So for Deluxe Class Wave 1, there's a Air Raid Slingshot, Solus Prime, Waspinator, and then Wave 2 is Alchemist Prime, Decepticon Crasher, and Vortex. And then for the Voyager class is 13 Prima Prime, Red Alert, and then Wave 2 is Bot, Heat Wave, and Skybite. And
Rescue Bot.
Okay. And then Leader class, Wave 1, Universe Grimlock with Autobot Wheelie, and 13 Megatronus Default, and Wave 2, 13 Onyx Prime. And the big ticket items are Silverbolt, Titan class, Star Optimus Prime with Micromaster Autobot Hot Rod. And exclusives are Excellion Sidewaves, Carnivac versus Physitron, Yeah, that could have went left. Slug Slinger versus Sandstorm, Spinister versus Topspin, and Triptychon.
Well, they couldn't have put Slug Slinger with TelaTraan.
Welcome to TelaTraan 2.
Welcome to TelaTraan 2.
That's right. And then Generation Select Triptychon with Full Tilt and Necro.
And then Age of the Primes general retail, let's see, for this year, for June, Silverbolt, Solus Prime, Waspinator. Then July, Air Raid Slingshot, Megatronus, Prima Prime. August is Red Alert, Grimlock with Wheelie, Star Optimus Prime. And then September is Alchemist Prime, Rescue Bots Heat Wave, and Decepticon Triptychon. I wonder if there's, what would a Shattered Glass version of Triptychon be? That would be interesting.
It would be him in Metroplex's colors. Be a white one.
Which then have a Metroplex Shattered Glass. Where
In black.
Yeah.
That would be black and purple Metroplex. Shut up. Take my damn money. God bless it.
So Adam has a question. Do y'all collect the 3-0 stuff?
I do not. I think I'm the only third-party person here right now. But Professor D, has a bunch of 3-0 stuff.
Yeah, I believe he does. And I know a few others. But
It's not because I don't
well.
like them. I just like other ones better.
Well, what is it? What is your opinion of them then?
If I'm not mistaken, 3-0s are ones that are small.
Okay.
Hang on, let me close a few of these windows right now. I've been opening up a lot of them. Let me get down some of this search.
Jeez.
Yeah, I had to make sure that y'all didn't see that when I spanned across here earlier.
Okay,
Probably Mr.
I'll have
Magnus
everybody
and
write
Mr.
down Bill's
Hey, sometimes you got to look at
credit card number.
what movie she was in. Let's go to Show Z.
There should be a stream one day, and it's like, show us your browser history.
No.
It'll be that picture of Bugs Bunny. No.
No thanks. I choose death.
All right, so let me just look at this 3-0 Optimus. No.
While Magnus is looking that up, for those in the comments, what cities are you in, and then where do you buy your Transformers from? Like any local stores, or do you get them from online? And then also like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Yes, you like what we do.
Oh,
here.
wait a
You like
minute.
the video?
Okay, so the
Subscribe to the channel.
3-0 stuff is the stuff that doesn't transform.
Oh, so not Transformers then.
Oh, here
Right.
we go.
Right,
Here
right,
we
right.
go.
They're just action figures. They're just action figures.
Which are baby
That's
dolls for
why-
boys.
That's why I don't have any 3-0s. Who was it that asked that about the 3-0 stuff?
Adam.
Adam Chandler. I'm not putting anybody down for it, but I personally won't buy a Transformer that doesn't transform because it just kind of goes against the name of itself. Now you'll see in here every now and then you'll see one that doesn't. Like I've got some of those RED figures up here. Those were gifts to me. and we still don't know who sent me the box of.
Wow.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah, I still have not received anything from anybody saying, "Oh yeah, that was me."
If anybody
Yeah,
watching
I
wants
have
to
a
send
whole
me a
shelf
random
of them
box
because
of
they sent
Stomper
me 2
trucks,
boxes of them, and they were cool. They were cool to put together because there's a little model figure, okay? And it was neat, because there was a surprise because you didn't know who was in the box.
So it's
You
a
know,
surprise.
who am I opening up?
A surprise
Oh,
of
okay,
a
it's this guy.
surprise.
It's legal
And-
gambling with Transformers.
But yeah, me personally, I don't like Transformers that don't transform. They're cool to look at, but like none of them have ever been opened. They're just there.
You know what? There's two ways to take that conversation, but just before that, I'm thinking, that mystery box that till this day we have no idea who sent it. That is something I've got to put out there and just have it like a contest of some sort throughout the different forums and groups and everything of just like who sent this box. Like, does anyone have any idea?
One, it's got to be somebody that knows me,
Mhm.
because that also knows that I am Magnus, because it was addressed to me, but then it said Magnus don't open until TelaTraan
Right.
2.
Mm.
And then they have to have my address.
Right. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Someone's watching. Somebody's watching.
Listen, I'm just going to put it out there. If anyone wants to buy, random vintage stomper trucks and just send them to me, I'm accepting. I'm just putting it out there.
USS flag. USS flag.
Yeah,
The
I
USS
wasn't
flag.
going to wish that big.
But we can start a GoFundMe if we just get each one of our people that have liked our page to send $2.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have like $8. What are you talking about? Guys, you're supposed to like the stuff, man. You're supposed to like it.
I tried to talk Chris Labrador into that at Transformers Liberated, because we have 25,000 members at Transformers
Yes.
Liberated.
Mhm.
And just to put it out there, the next time that there's a big something out there, a Unicron or whatnot, let's have a raffle. Let's give a member a piece, and it costs $1 a ticket. I'd spend $1 on an extra Unicron just to see somebody else in the community actually win one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they actually do that in the Stomper groups. Yeah.
Oh.
We have the guy who runs a couple of the Stomper groups. His entire garage is a Stomper truck museum, right?
Nice.
And we all swear, because this collection keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the stuff in the collection, some of the stuff came from the factory and was never even released to the public. I mean, it is top-notch type collection. We think he has a time machine. So listen, if you want to send me a time machine, I'm also down for that too. I'll bring you something back, man.
If anyone has a time machine, we could travel back for some Transformers, but then also reinvest in Google, reinvest in Apple before maybe Tesla, but we don't want to mention those words. Reinvest in all of those things back then when they were still like pennies to $1, and then we'll just bank when we come back into the future.
Time machine.
Okay, I'll just bank because the rest of y'all just you're not interested in it. It seems.
I was interested in the toy stuff. Yes.
Okay, well we'll bring back some toys too. Pull up Marty McFly. But with Magnus saying he doesn't like Transformers that don't transform, it falls in those conversations of people who buy Transformers and keep them in the box, so they never open it and never transform it. But then there's also that other side of the argument. A lot of Transformers we put on the shelf and they just sit there. So maybe every 20 years we'll transform them, but the rest of the time they're just sitting on a shelf in robot mode. So what makes the difference between that and a non-transformer transformer?
Having the option 2.
There you go.
Number one. Number two, I love how you said that about, we actually know fucking transform. I mean, listen, the ones out of the box, the ones in the box, I got one out of the box that gets transformed once a year.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But mine are probably a little more often than that. This is my stress reliever. Yeah, I come up here and I play. I put my computer, my laptop, or the keyboard away right there, and I'll make scenes and take pictures of them. And
hey, we work hard. So we got to play hard too. Yeah, Adam says,
and that's a great argument that he's making right there.
Yep, whether it transforms or not, it's You know, it's Optimus Prime or whoever at the end of the day. That's all that matters to me anyway.
And if that's your thing, more power to you. I love it for you. I'm glad that you like that thing. For me, it's not my bag. And I'm just going to use the one that I've got on my screen right now, the 303Z065 Bumblebee DLX Optimus Prime Cybertron mode. Is $237 for a 11-inch figure. Okay, so that's a masterpiece scale. If I'm going to spend $237 on a masterpiece scale, it better transform.
I spent $237.
That's my opinion.
You better wipe my ass when I'm done taking a
Now,
shit.
I'm looking at it. It's got great details. It's extremely posable. You know, it doesn't say how many points of articulation it has, but I can see from the poses that they've put in this thing, it's got a bunch. I'll bet it's got 3 joints in each foot. You know, it's ankles, arms, shoulders, head, neck. Each one of the fingers is separate. So it's a great looking figure. If it actually turned into a truck, I might be interested, other than the fact that this is a Bayverse Prime that I'm looking at. So that would also knock it out of me getting it here.
Well, I know it would tie in with you know, the battle between Mr. O and Toy Warp in terms of the KOs that he's been tracking down, and I mean, even for myself, like, I've been seeing a lot of those KOs, and it depends on it depends on the person, where it's like, you know, you're either gonna try to track down that original that's, you know, just going to be kind of like really pricey, or you find a really good quality KO, because sitting on the shelf, it almost looks identical, but it's really not about the look of it. It's you're reliving that nostalgia of, you know, you either had it as a kid or you weren't able to get it as a kid. Now you're able to get it. But, you know,
Ben,
hey,
I will fight you too.
okay, you'll fight me too. But here's the thing.
His emotional support alligator to bite your leg so he can, you know, kick you while you can't get away.
I'll feed a support alligator some maple syrup, you know, and then it will come onto my side and be like, this is some good maple syrup. But I will never try to sell it off as a KO, which was funny because at the toy show you had that picture of G1 Tracks, which was, you know, mint sealed in the box, and I guess whoever the seller was trying to play off that.
No.
Okay.
Oh no, he wasn't trying to play it off as original. That's why it was only $60. You saw that he had a price tag on it. It was only $60.
But was he trying to say it was a reissue? Because then everyone else in that other group said that never got reissued.
I'm sorry. Let me clarify. I was the one asking if it was a reissue. To me, reissues and knockoffs are the same bit. They're all just I won't have anything to do with any of them. So okay, it wasn't an official reissue according to you guys. It was a knockoff bootleg type deal.
Okay.
But to me, it's all the same. If it's not, you know, 84, 85, 86 G1, then
Right.
you know it's just reissue whatever, you know.
No, which is respectable. Yeah.
I brought up, you know, G1, an actual G1 pictures. You know, somebody who's selling one had really good pictures. Okay, and wow, it was really hard to tell the difference. All the graphics were in the same spot on the box.
Okay.
The box had the same numbering. It had the same age group, which is always good. Tells to, you know, see if it's original or a knockoff.
Right.
The only thing I could find on that entire box was his name on the box was in a slightly different font on the original.
Okay.
Slightly different font. That's scary, because, you know, you've got the hardcore G1 guys like me, you know, and you've got dishonest sellers out there. Now, personally, I don't think I've ever ran into one personally.
Okay.
But, you know, there are dishonest sellers out there. And you get that stuff close enough, someone's paying, because, you know, I mean, I've paid up to, I think my most expensive one I've bought has been like $1,300, you know? Can you imagine somebody spending $1,300 and then sending it off to be graded, and they're like, hey, why didn't you just go to Walmart and get this? They got it right now, you know? That's scary stuff.
That is scary stuff. But you know what? I guess this would tie in with all the different Facebook groups, which I always have to thank that they allow us to promote our stream in all the different groups. One of them, which actually made me a moderator the other day, and they have a large amount of people within their group. So it's interesting seeing the other side of it, in terms of what the moderators have to go through. But the advantage these days is you could say if you're at a toy show and you're in one or many of these groups, you can look at that toy, take a picture of it, and post it and say, hey, is this an original? What should I look for? And people will start replying, and it's like, okay, well, it should have this date stamp, it should have this certain marking, it should have this and that. Because even with the original Optimus Primes, even the ones that did come out in 84, there's slight differences on them. And then when you hold them next to each other, there's like a slight pattern difference. So even though they're both from 84, there is that slight difference that you could tell, okay, here's one from 84, here's one from like 2006, because this slight variance is the big telltale sign of what is the original and what's the knockoff or later production.
I will agree with you there to a point. I've heard, okay, there's a really popular difference that isn't a difference. Okay. A lot of people say how Transformers line up, how the two words line up, and a lot of people believe that if it's lined up one certain way or another, it's never misaligned. They're always trying to get that Transformers emblem or Transformers logo as perfect as possible. So those letters are matched up on both. And the guy at the toy show said, "Oh yeah, you can tell it's fake because the lettering's off." I brought up the picture, like, no, it's not. I brought up the pictures, like right out of my collection, like, no, look, it's all the same. Mm-hmm. It's all the same, pal. So your information is wrong. I'm not saying I'm not saying you're trying to. Obviously, he wasn't trying to sell me something as an original that wasn't. But even his information was wrong. And I've seen people in the group say, say that stuff that's not entirely true. I'm not saying I know all the differences. I try to learn. Like as soon as I saw that tracks, I was bringing up pictures, trying to, so I know the difference. You know what I mean?
Right.
For myself, not so much to pass the information. If somebody else asks me, yeah, sure, I tell them. But the information you get from the groups aren't always spot on correct.
Well, I say I would. I guess it depends on the groups. Depends on the groups who's in it and who has originals. Because I remember in one group where someone asked, I think it was either Starscream or it may have been Starscream or another character, and they were like, "What should I look for?" And I still have my Starscream from when I was a kid, so I'm like, okay, well, it should have these kind of markings because that's the one from like 40 years ago.
On the toy or the box?
The toy. Yeah, okay. The box is a bit of. I guess the box is a bit harder unless you're able to ask the person, can you open the box and look at the actual toy? But I'm guessing most cases they're like, no, you can't open the box. So then you're kind of.
I know the difference.
I see, the difference, but yeah, many people won't be like, well, I need to see the actual toy. Yeah, it's hard. Adam has a question for you, and it says, actually, I had another question, but it says, Toy Warp, were you at Toylanta?
No, I've heard some wonderful things about Toylanta, but I haven't made it up there yet to go to it. That's still like an 8-hour drive for me.
Yeah. Oh. I was gonna say, because you said it was like 6 hours to get to where my sister lives in Florida, because she's up in the Panhandle.
Yeah. And
I was like, damn, and then Atlanta is like 2.5 hours from her house. So.
Oh wow.
Well, if she's in the Panhandle, I thought she was Central Florida, like northern Central Florida.
Well, she's right on the edge of it, right there, Lake City. It's like right where it starts turning to become the Panhandle and turns down to go down to the peninsula. She's there in that.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, they're still an hour away from the ocean. Any direction that they go.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They're more central.
Well, I was mistaken. There was only that one comment in question.
Gotcha. I've heard wonderful things about Toylanta, but like I said, I've not made it up there yet.
What have you heard? I've not heard of it. What can you tell us about it?
It is like it's a vintage collector's dream from what I hear. I mean,
Okay.
like the toy show I was at today, I mean it's like 20-fold that. It's kind of like the mega con of
Got it.
US toy shows.
Okay.
And it's really I know it's really heavy on GI Joe stuff. That much I do know. So
Okay.
you might be able to find a flag there. I don't know. Well, hell, probably could find a couple. You can find a fleet of them there. I mean, usually, at the toy shows down here, there's usually at least one. So I would imagine at a GI Joe heavy show, yeah, you're gonna have a fleet of flags.
How hard
New
is it?
life goal.
How hard is it to get a flag? Like, even say one that's missing parts and stuff, and then slowly piece it together, or is that just not possible?
Yeah, it's very possible. As a matter of fact, when you look up flag on like eBay, you'll find more parts than you will, the aircraft carrier in one piece. Yeah. The deck plating and support beams. Oh my God, there's about a bajillion listings for those out there, and they're all
I'm looking
relatively
at 'em
cheap,
right now.
actually. Yeah,
Wow.
they're typically
support
relatively
struts.
cheap. Now, try buying that. Like I said earlier, try buying that guardrail that goes around the fantail section. Holy crap, dude! You're talking $100, $200 just for that little piece of plastic.
Well, it's the same thing with where I've seen some parts for, say, Omega Supreme, for instance, like the little yellow tabs. I think one person was selling those tabs for like $25 each.
Really?
Yep.
Hey, Omega, you got any extra of those? Wow. Well,
The computer consoles, 3 pieces. The computer console 3-piece set is $80 for the USS Flag.
it's been a couple years, but I did the math on just piecing it together, and you're gonna spend about as much as you are with one that's just together.
Wow. Wow.
And you can pick up one that's like yellowed, that has bad stickers, maybe a crack or two in the hull plating or the beams or something. You can pick that up for around 1,000. You get up to the $2,500 range. It's going to have a lot more pieces to it. The microphone's going to work. It might still have some yelling. The stickers might still be rough. The box, if it comes with it, is going to be rough. Getting the $5,000 range, obviously all those problems are going to be cured, except for it might have some yellowing or the box might not be perfect. But once you start getting into what I saw today, that sealed item, that's 10 grand plus.
Right. Wow.
So, vintage G.I. Joe Admiral Kill Hall. Complete USS Flag with pistol and file card. $149.99. That's just the action figure, his pistol, and the file card.
Yep.
And that's American. So that's a 300 for us.
Right, right. I'm just trying to see some of the more expensive pieces. Oh,
Yeah.
what is that? Aircraft carrier. The instructions, which look like blueprints.
They're called blueprints, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
the instruction blueprints are $140.
Wow.
You can probably
Adam,
just Google it and find it. Yeah.
Adam's saying, Toy Warp, if you're looking for a flag, the people that run Toylanta, they also have a con called Joelanta, so I'm sure you'll find one there.
Oh, finding them's not the problem. It's affording them. like Magnus is going over all the pricing of the parts now. Like I've gone over the pricing of buying them complete. Yeah. I mean, I didn't pay that much for my first 3 cars.
Ooh.
And I also, on top of, the toy addiction, I also have a whole nother crippling addiction, and that's classic cars,
Hmm.
like the real thing. So I've got it on two fronts, man. Champagne taste on beer budget, my friend.
There you go.
Here you go. Here you go. Vintage 1985 Hasbro G.I. Joe USS flag part, microphone and loudspeaker. It works. $275.
Look up the guardrail for the fantail. And hell, maybe even pop up a picture of it to see what chintzy piece of plastic it is and how much it goes
Oh
for.
dear. No, Adam has a question for all of us before we end the evening. So, what is y'all favorite Bayverse movie? Sorry, I'm new here, so I don't know much about y'all.
No.
Magnus?
What was the question? I'm sorry, I was looking at the other screen.
Your favorite Bayverse
What's your
movie?
favorite Burverse movie? None.
Set 'em.
I didn't care for it. I'll take it back. I take it back. The first one, because it reinvented the franchise to a new generation. That's the only good thing that came out of it, in my opinion. It was bad acting. I don't care for Bayverse Transformers. I don't like my Transformers to look like insects. So, yeah, that's my opinion. If you liked it, great. I love it. I love that it got you reinvested into the franchise. Really. I personally, it's not my bag.
Set 'em. What say you?
It's not so much via the movie itself, but some of the accompanying media. But Dark of the Moon, I like. They did the High Moon that did the War for Cybertron games. They did the game for Dark of the Moon, and I still like the Shockwave toy, like the original Shockwave toy. I still got a copy of it. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of any of my other favorite. Yeah, Shockwave is one of my favorite characters. So I'm trying to think. Is there any other main? Yeah, I guess it would be Dark of the Moon. I mean, I like some of the Revenge of the Fallen toys, but I don't really care for the movie. But I saw the original and Dark of the Moon. Like I like visually, I saw like Age of Extinction because they finally gave the Autobots different color schemes. Finally,
Right.
like I enjoyed that, but I couldn't tell you. I mean, I remember their version of Hound, and their version of Drift, but I wasn't really attached to any of them. Like I was like the Shockwave or Barricade or the Blacked Out in 07, and then his essentially second player redeco of him Grindor. And even then, that's more because of well, no, I did have Blackout's original 07 toy. A lot of the stuff I like from the movies is because of the characters I did buy toys for, which were mainly like I say, Blackout, Shockwave, Barricade, and like that the one that had the High Moon game, Dark of the Moon. Otherwise, well, I do like, and then even then like the Age of Extinction, like some of the characters like Scorn. Like I love the Scorn, like the Voyager Scorn. So there's the deluxe from Age of Extinction, which I don't have, but I want to get the all black version of it. And then I have the Voyager version of Scorn, which is his toy red, and like that's something I like because that's like, if you grew up with like Jurassic Park movies, the Spinosaurus versus the T-Rex, the Spinosaurus from that. So like I like. So normally it's none of the movies. It's like I just like specific characters from specific movies, and because I had the Pacific toys either as a younger man or I got them when I got into Transformers during COVID.
I think it's interesting how Magnus says, that he's kind of grateful for the movies because it reinvigorated the franchise and reintroduced it to a younger generation. Man, I could give a shit less. No, think about it. Think about everything else that we grew up with that kids nowadays don't know about. It doesn't matter to me if the toy line continued or not. I had it and enjoyed it when I was a kid. I enjoy collecting the toys now. Why would I want to see the franchise go through something as indignified as something like Bayformers when I can just, remember the good times? By the way, if anybody's watching, I'm the vintage old guy, so I just do vintage stuff.
He's grandpa.
Yeah, apparently. But no, I mean, I wouldn't want to indignify Mask or, the Bigfoot and the Muscle Machines or Turbo Teen or any of the other stuff that I really enjoyed as a kid. I wouldn't want to indignify it with something like Bay's Turtles. Like, I think the original Turtle movies, especially the 1990 version, was better than any of the CGI crapfest they came out with in the last decade. Hell,
Yeah,
even the
I don't care for
07
the
TMNT
Bayverse
movie that was
TMT movies.
CGI animated was better than the live action stuff.
Mm-hmm.
TMT wise, if you like cranes, like being like deadly, scary cranes, watch the Rise of the TMT movies. That's on Netflix, and I mean it makes them like scare more like how they are in the comics. I mean that level of scary, and then you kind of get into 2012 how they're actually dangerous and they're actually the race like they were in the comics, rather than the singular guy that's kind of the goofy guy in the original cartoon. I mean I still like that character. Like I know I kind of relate to Torwarp when it comes to Bebop and Rocksteady. Like I very specifically like those original Playmate toys, and whatever Fred Wolfman cartoon versions of Bebop and Rocksteady. I don't think they were in the 20X, the 2000s TMT. I know they weren't. There was alternate versions of them. They weren't the same. The humans that they were sourced from weren't the same people, but they had a Bebop and a Rocksteady. It was like I think the Rocksteady, and that was like some Russian general that like Shredder's friends with, and the Bebop is like scrawny. And it's like, at least I don't like fat Bebop, but at least having him being scrawny is like even worse than him not being like the kind of buffed up version you have in the cartoon in the 80s 90s video games. I like a lot of the Mutant Mayhem designs, but I hate the Bebop and Rocksteady designs from that because they're just like I like some of their designs. Like I bought the Ray Fillet this week. Now it's like that because how some of the mutant animals, they kind of all look the same. They have the same body builds. So I like the Mutant Mayhem designs and some of the 2012 designs because they make the characters actually look like their own individual characters. So I would say TMT sort of had the reverse, whereas if the live action movies kind of made everything look the same in the Transformer movies, I will say that's something that the TMT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, has been lucky with, other than the steroid freak versions of the Turtles. But they have made the characters more unique over time, and not just change the animal head they have on them, and if they need a tail, add a tail.
Before we round up, Adam says, you think CGI movies are bad now. You do know that Bay wanted to make the Turtles aliens at first, right? He scrapped that idea as the script got leaked, and he got blasted for that.
Yeah, he also got blasted for the white guy playing Shredder instead of having Shredder traditionally as an Asian guy. Yeah, I remember that whole mess too. And those reshoots were like painfully obvious.
Wow.
And it's not that it's having the alien race thing's kind of silly. Yes, the mutagen has the whole connection to like the Axiom, i.e. the Krang race, and the TCRI or whatever the abbreviation for their organization. And I just feel like you don't even need the Turtles to be aliens in order to have the alien angle to the turtles, because you already have the Axims and the Krangs and them, and a lot of continuities being the
Well,
original
all Bay
creators of
was
the
doing there
Ooze.
was, well, I made $1 billion franchise with Transformers and they were aliens, so let's make the Turtles aliens too, so I can have another $1 billion
Yeah.
franchise. That's all that was about.
Yeah. And I'm just like, no, 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 no.
Nope, don't apply the same formula to everything, buddy.
You
You
know, it's
ever
really
seen the
weird. Like,
BRB that it starts off with Spielberg versus Hitchcock, and then you have like the different directors, and every person takes a jab at Michael Bay, and then finally Michael Bay comes down and he's like, "It's about motherfucking money,
yeah,
Isn't it?
not artistic vision."
yeah. But the newer Turtles movies, they weren't even fun. Like the original Turtles movies, they were funny. You know, the banter in between them is kind of like our banter here. You know, it's just fun and it's entertaining. And it wasn't even entertaining in those movies.
Yeah, I don't like the Bayverse
It-
movies. Like
Yeah.
I liked what I seen of the 2012. So I seen the 2012 series up to basically the setup, like right before Return of New York. So the start of like season 3, when they've been pushed out of New York, when Shredder, like they think they had killed Splinter, and they had that whole in the comics too. And then I seen the first season of Rise and the movie, but I never seen season 2 because it's only like on Paramount Plus still. Like Paramount Plus.
There are websites out there that can help you with that.
I know.
Of course, Children of Primus does not condone using these websites.
It's only a crime if you get caught.
Quote unquote streaming.
You wouldn't steal a car. Oh, wouldn't I? Wait, what? By the way, tune in to Cruisers Motorsports for how to steal a car.
I was just thinking that. Hot wiring.
Okay, so what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle are we talking about that was directed by Michael Bay?
Not directed. It was produced by Michael Bay, but
Produced,
man, it had his
produced.
greasy fingerprints all over it.
I
That's the
will
one where they're
say
real
I
big?
did enjoy
Yeah.
the android
Had
body
Megan Fox.
design
Yep.
for that in the second one.
Yeah, she just ruins everything from our childhood.
I
if
will
Megan
say
Fox
that
is the
I
Scarlet,
do like the android
If she's the
design.
Scarlet in the movie and it's from our childhood, don't waste your time with it.
Well, I'd say that's Michael Bay. I mean, Megan Fox is just the noise that goes along with it.
Yeah. Let's see. And Adam, now before we round up, Adam says, isn't the very first CGI Turtles a sequel to the first 3 Turtles movie?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
the
know what movie you're
2007 TMNT movie was supposed to be kind of like a direct sequel to the third Turtles movie, because they had a lot of references from the movie, or from the original live action movies in that CGI movie.
Got it. Well, as we are going to end the evening, Set on Bach Arts, what say you for the upcoming week?
I'm trying to think. I know tomorrow I got a doctor's appointment, and I still don't. We did a free open studio last week, but trying to pull up. Phone doesn't want to cooperate with me. Okay, there it
He's
goes.
having trouble getting past all that midget porn.
Hey, you're the one with the bestiality with the alligators.
Chomp, baby.
Okay, here we go. Photos.
See, we'll just quietly sit over here with our maple syrup.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I wouldn't be saying much because I found out today that your entire military is like a seventh of the size of our freaking Coast Guard.
Damn.
You sit down there and be quiet.
Yeah, we don't really need to be fighting anyone.
So says the country that did all the war crimes in World War One. Okay,
Yeah, let's shush.
what's that about?
Yeah, the only thing I did had to draw from some flowers or something. And I just used the markers and color pencils, kind of like I did that drawing with the Malia Raids from Guilty Gear. Since I already knew how the markers and color pencils interact, I knew the flower is very streaky looking already. So I was like, well, I'll just use the markers because those will be streaky naturally, and I don't have to really make it happen. It will just occur naturally using the markers being markers, and then use the color pencils to adjust the colors. So wherever you see some like pink or magenta or more, that's like color pencil worked in, and then some white over some of the green in spots because I couldn't get a dark green. I mean the lighter green. So.
Very cool.
And I got photos of like stuff I need to post. Just a matter of, yeah, I know I took you know, maybe if I just get them on Instagram, I'll be like, yay, stuff's posted.
Over to you, Magnus. What do you got coming up for the week?
Back up here to the top of the page. Big Bad Toy Store don't have much as far as new. My accounts. Pre-orders are still the same. We've got Megatronus, 3 Scrappers, 3 Bone Crushers, 3 Slingshots, 3 Air Raid, 3 2-pack, Long Haul, and Hook. I went ahead and got that upgrade, that weird upgrade where you put Megatron's arm on Studio Series Optimus. I mainly got that just for the Megatron, the handheld Megatron that comes with that set.
Right.
3 Silver Bolts and 1 Transformers 1 Alita, just so that I can have the forming people from it. In my pile of loot, we have the Transformers 1 Optimus, Transformers 1 Bumblebee. So nothing's really changed there. No new orders. As far as Magic goes, this weekend was pre-release for the new Dragons of Tarkir, and I absolutely killed it, pulling over $2,800 worth of cards out of my 2 boxes. So yeah, it was a good weekend here. My son pulled that $300 card out of there, and I thought he was going to hyperventilate. This is a 24-year-old kid. He's like, calm down, son. Did you strike gold? You did.
Cool. And Adam says, thanks for answering my questions, and you'll have a good night. And Adam, thank you for asking the questions and hanging out with us. And
Absolutely.
Come back. We're here every Sunday. And over to you, Toy Warp. What say you for the upcoming
and for
week?
those who don't know, you all know because I posted it on our thing. I traded in $1,800 worth of cards, so it didn't cost me anything to pull the $2,800.
There you go. Toy Warp, what say you?
I got a reveal that I didn't get to get out because I guess nobody was doing reveals this week. But my neighbor had this. This is a 1973 lap counter for the Sizzlers Hot Wheels cars. Right?
Wow.
See, and that's
Dude,
what
that's
what I
blast
love.
from the past right there.
Right? I get the glare. Hold on.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah. This is from the Fat Track. This is when they started making the tracks for the Sizzler cars from Hot Wheels. Sizzlers were kind of like Hot Wheels' response to slot cars. They were actually battery powered, but you could charge them. You could like pull them in, and they charge up in like 5 or 10 seconds, and then they'd go right back out. So it's kind of like a real pit stop.
Nice.
But yeah, complete in the box. And what's really hard to find with these is these little plastic antennas, and they're still on the tree. My neighbor had this in his garage, since he was a kid, and I picked up some scrap metal the other day, and he just traded me the scrap metal stuff for it.
Wow. So, are you gonna make a video for that on Toy Warp Vintage Reviews on YouTube?
I might. I don't know. I did some videos for the Sizzler stuff, and then I I proceeded to bury it underneath a whole bunch of other toys. So all the Sizzler stuff is completely buried right now.
I
But
may still have some of my tracks of that over at my dad's house. I'll get down there this week when I go look for that book. I'll go look through my old bin and see if I do, I'll send them to you.
I remember building
the
little
track sections you said?
races
I missed what you
in
said.
my basement growing
Yeah,
up.
I had about 18 or 20 track sections of that.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Gotcha.
I don't know how many of them survived, but we'll see, because Mom and Dad got rid of a lot of my stuff.
Yeah, that always sucks. That's why I never kept
Yeah.
anything at my parents' house. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of
Well,
Hot
I went
Wheels,
away to college for 6 years, so
Mhm.
you know, when I came back, my room was an office. So,
Yep. As for what's coming up on Toy Work Vintage Reviews and Cruisers, it's going to be an off week this week. I've been sick and out of work for 6 weeks, so I've got to get back to work
Damn.
and just kind of play catch up. However, the latest video on Cruisers Motorsports is the last review of the last 90s Bandit movie. So if you like rad era content, from the 80s and 90s, I review these cheesy movies that came out in the 90s that were kind of like a continuation of the Smokey and the Bandit movies.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the latest video over on Cruisers.
Cool. So what were you gonna say just before we end the
I
evening?
had realized recently, because obviously I can do micro photography on with my actual camera, but I had noticed that if I do that, I have super macro, so I might start trying. I've already been playing with my phone and my camera, and obviously the camera is a lot more expensive to replace than this. So I might try to use this super macro, because if I drop this while trying to shoot photos of small Hot Wheels, I'll only be out like 100 versus 1K plus with the camera. So
Right.
and like I said, this has macro. It looks like was looking at Blade's missiles on his arm. It's clear when you're on you have it on the super macro. So I was like, okay, I'll have to look into it when I have a good either day to shoot some stuff outside on a road looking area, or I get the a little a storage thing that's like set up, that I was telling Torp after last week's show, that it's set up to look like a 4 or 5 floor garage, and each floor is like kind of has different graffiti or decorations or signage in it, so you can kind of theme the cars to whatever's on that floor.
Cool.
I seen keep an eye on my shorts tomorrow on Toy Warp, because I'm gonna upload some shorts from the toy show, and I saw a garage like that actually was lit up. You might wanna look into.
Okay.
speaking of the show, did you get anything, or did you make any good sales?
I made some decent. It was so weird. I made some really good sales yesterday on the Saturday, but today was a completely different crowd. It was a much younger crowd. There was a lot of Pokemon at the show, and everybody that was walking in had like folders with them for Pokemon cards. And toy sales today, I sold $8 worth of toys.
Wow.
Oh no.
No joke.
Wow.
Where if I hadn't brought my Cruisers merchandise with me, that's all I would have made. I sold a Cruiser sticker and a Cruiser shirt today, but if it wasn't for that, I would have made $8 at the toy show.
Wow.
Completely different crowds between the 2 days. It was wild.
Speaking of Pokemon, if you ever see me get really giggly and singing a Pokemon theme, that's because I'm drunk. Because apparently that's what I do when I get drunk and I walk back from the bar that I live, is I giggle to myself and sing the Pokemon theme song on and off.
Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all.
I'm glad you,
And I didn't grow up with
made
a
that jingle, because I didn't even remember it.
a fan of it. I got into it because of my nephew wanting to learn about it, and I knew about Magic and Marvel Overpower when I was younger.
Okay, Sedum, listen. Video evidence, or it didn't happen.
There you go.
I want to see this.
And on that note, thank you for all you guys hanging out. Thank you for everyone in the comments. Like and subscribe to the video, and like Pokemon, till all are one.
All or one.
We now bring you to the children of